The coronavirus outbreak has crippled the world's economy as people attempt to slow down the spread of the disease. What makes the pandemic particularly frightening for many is the lack of an approved vaccine or treatment of the virus.
So there is no approved therapy for COVID-19. So physicians in the hospital are generally treating symptoms, providing supportive care.
That's fluids and oxygen and renal replacement therapy if it's needed, really trying to keep the patient alive so the patient has a chance to recover on their own.
One glimmer of hope could be the recent discovery of a possible treatment, remdesivir, manufactured by Gilead Sciences.
Data shows that remdesivir has a clear-cut, significant positive effect in diminishing the time to recovery.
Developing a treatment for COVID-19 is important to help patients that are critically ill who need either some sort of reduction in side effects, prevent viral entry into the cells, or in other words, prevent the disease from progressing.
Knowing how to treat COVID-19 could be a valuable asset and a turning point in the fight against the pandemic. So how close are we to developing a treatment? And why would economic recovery depend on it? There are several ways to fight a pandemic, but a vaccine that can help build up immunity against COVID-19 still remains the long-term solution.
The vaccine is really the holy grail. It's the thing that really opens up the possibilities of returning to a normal way of life.
The problem is, it's going to take some time to be approved for mass use, about 12 to 18 months according to most experts. Yet some reports predict that close to half of the global population will eventually contract the virus. While aggressive testing to contain the spread of the disease still remains a top priority, scientists and researchers believe that an effective treatment can serve as a bridge to a vaccine that will hopefully arrive in the near future.
Developing a treatment for COVID disease is important because we know that without treatment, there's a high morbidity and mortality rate.
Governments and industries across the world are combining their efforts in developing a treatment. U.S. health agencies like the National Institutes of Health have partnered up with a dozen leading pharmaceutical companies for a faster collaboration, while more than 70 countries have joined the WHO to accelerate the research process, although President Trump controversially suspended American contributions to the organization.
They're pooling all of the data that we have about the safety and efficacy of treatments and making that available to companies to speed development even faster than is normal.
There are hundreds of treatment options currently under consideration. On March 24th, the FDA approved the use of convalescent plasma therapy that uses the blood of recovered patients to treat those in critical condition. The Mayo Clinic is currently the leading site for evaluating the efficacy of the therapy.
There's been a lot of news coverage about the plasma therapy, and I think it's because it should be widely accessible, it's cheap, and the trials are ongoing right now.
It's a treatment that's actually been around for over 100 years to combat other diseases like the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918.
So the theory underlying treating somebody with COVID disease with plasma is that a patient who has previously recovered from COVID should have antibodies, and those antibodies should target the virus and hopefully will neutralize that virus so that the virus stops replicating.
If proven to be effective, plasma therapies can also be used to protect healthcare workers who are treating patients on the front lines. Further testing is still needed to prove its efficacy and safety before it can be routinely administered to patients.
Right now, we don't know how effective it's going to be. And so it's important to do these treatments under controlled study circumstances so that we can study, do patients who have recovered from the virus have antibodies? Do they neutralize? And do they help make people better as a consequence?
If approved, the challenge also lies in securing enough plasma to treat those who are in need, a constraint made even more difficult by FDA's restriction on donations from gay and bisexual men.
The biggest challenge right now is identifying donors and having donors work through the system in a manner that allows them to donate plasma efficiently. The systems are being developed. It's a new treatment. We're a month into therapy or so. And so there's been some growing pains. But there's now a national effort to coordinate the blood donation activities.
Convalescent plasma therapy is just one of many therapeutic treatments currently under consideration. As of April 19th, the FDA revealed that there are 72 treatments currently going under trial, with an additional 211 alternative treatments in their planning stages.
Yes, there's a lot of therapies, and what individual institutions are doing, and Mayo is one of them, is evaluating those therapies. Which ones can we access? Which ones do we think have the most favorable benefit to potential side effect ratio, and trying to decide which trials we want to start here.
Another possible treatment option that regulators are heavily leaning towards is repurposing existing medications.
It is very common to use recycled drugs to treat new diseases. In many cases, we don't have effective therapy, so we use what we have.
Repurposed medications have two unique advantages over working on a treatment from scratch: time and supply.
They're already available and approved for a different disease in most markets in the world. So in a perfect world, the fastest way for us to get a treatment is to use an existing drug and find out through clinical trials that it works in COVID-19 as well.
Drugs that are normally used to treat other conditions like HIV, malaria, Ebola, and rheumatoid arthritis are currently under trial as possible candidates to treat COVID-19. Kevzara, a rheumatoid arthritis drug made by Regeneron and Sanofi, showed promising results for the sickest of coronavirus patients.
The immune response that you see in rheumatoid arthritis may be very similar to the immune response that you see in COVID-19. So you're trying to apply the same concept to a different disease. It's still an immune response. Immune responses are immune responses within the body. And so you're trying to affect that immune response with a similar mechanism.
Even if they are proven safe for human consumption, repurposed drugs must still go through rigorous additional trials to ensure their safety and efficacy against COVID-19.
It takes a lot of trial and error in many cases to come up with the either treatment or preventive vaccine that is going to be used in the public. And a lot of these really hinge on not only is it effective, but is it safe? You can give something to a patient that will stop or treat the disease or prevent it from going to another person. However, it could be at such a high level that it is toxic to that patient.
Hydroxychloroquine is a recent example of the importance of rigorous clinical trials. The anti-malaria drug is available in a generic form and is also produced under the brand name Plaquenil by the French pharmaceutical company Sanofi. The malaria drug was once touted by President Trump as a game changer in the fight against COVID-19, after showing promising results in a small-scale study in France.
I think it could be a game changer, and maybe not. But I think it could be, based on what I see, it could be a game changer.
However, a recent nationwide study revealed it might result in more deaths without any real benefits, prompting the National Institutes of Health as well as the FDA to warn against its use due to the risk regarding its toxicity.
There is a lot of confusion about what really is evidence for effectiveness and safety. A lot of things that we see are anecdotal use of drugs like hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine in patients who have been sick. It's very difficult, statistically speaking, to point out whether or not this is actually effective or the patient just coincidentally got better, which happens.
But frankly, treatment development is very, very difficult business. 4 out of 5 drugs fail in development. And that exact same failure rate should be expected in developing a treatment for COVID-19.
On April 24th, White House Health Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci revealed promising results from Gilead Sciences' remdesivir.
It is a very important proof of concept, because what it is proven is that a drug can block this virus,
sparking hope for the development of an effective treatment against COVID-19.
I think because there's so much research into experimental therapies for COVID, and there's so many good drug candidates out there, I think it is likely that we will be able to identify a therapy that has some success within a period of several months to maybe a year.
Fortunately, the development of a treatment for a novel disease like COVID-19 is likely to be faster than ever, thanks to recent rapid advancements in technology.
But you are seeing now an explosion of technology and new startup companies who are becoming adept at pooling massive amounts of data to inform how to best target a new drug at a novel target for a particular disease. So AI and ML is becoming a real hot spot through a technology lens for drug discovery without a shadow of a doubt.
Microsoft recently announced the launch of chatbots known as plasma bots that can help recruit recovered patients to donate their blood for plasma therapies. While IBM has partnered up with the White House to launch the COVID-19 High Performance Computing Consortium, that will make supercomputing power available for researchers and scientists working on developing a treatment.
We have this unique scientific instrument, which are supercomputers that have been designed historically to accelerate the rate of discovery, to be able to perform calculations and simulations that would be costly to do experimentally.
Next generation supercomputers like IBM's Summit, the world's fastest supercomputer, are helping researchers study the virus and narrow down which drugs can be effective against it using complex simulations.
Let's say we want to model the virus itself. We can represent the structure of the virus, and we can use these computers to model its behavior and its interactions. Now, that process of doing all those experiments is normally something that would take many, many, many months if you were to do it on a normal computer. But you could do it in under 2 days because you're using a supercomputer.
Computing power that was once thought to be impossible could entirely change how we respond to future pandemics.
Right now, we are learning and creating new ways to collaborate and new institutions and new ways to mobilize the tech sector to respond to the current crisis. Out of this, we will definitely not only have lessons learned, but we will create new mechanisms for coordination to better prepare for future crises.
On March 31st, the FDA announced its Coronavirus Treatment Acceleration Program, designed to help accelerate the approval process for any potential treatments for COVID-19.
I am aware of individual protocols that have been approved within 12 hours. I'm aware of many protocols that have been approved within 24 hours. So the red tape has absolutely been cut. I don't believe this has been done at the expense of safety or quality.
The fast-tracked approval process will also have an impact on the stock market. On April 29th, the White House's announcement on Gilead's remdesivir led to a 2.7% gain for the S&P, and shares of Gilead Sciences also jumped by 5.7% in a single day.
It is clear that the stock market will respond to the availability of COVID-19 treatments in a positive way. And this is true both for the stock performance of pharmaceutical companies, but also for other critical aspects of our economy and the industries that are engaged in them. Because again, getting treatments that are safe and effective to treat COVID-19 are critical to reopening our economy.